Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another exciting Minecraft discussion. A little Giovanni, I guess he's right below the camera. Anyway, Minecraft discussion. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am so excited to be out here on this gorgeous day in my backyard with little G. You know, you can't see him. He's feeling the love right now. And I just had this conversation on cultivating your own worthiness, because worthiness is an inner practice. You know, that original feeling, that feeling of original worthiness that we are born into this world with, somehow just seems to get clouded over. It doesn't disappear or leave. It feels like that because we can walk around feeling unworthy and not enough in a gazillion different ways. But really, it's all under there. It's just it's clouded over by messages from, you know, people early in their lives and social media and the media in general, and da-da-da-da-da. So really, it's like an archaeological dig. And it can actually be kind of fun once you get going. But anyway, so to cultivate worthiness, got to realize that none of that's out here. It's all in here, 100%. It's all you. So one of the things I am definitely inspired today, I've been listening to Wayne Dyer again. He's one of my greatest teachers ever, no question. And he talks about one of the first things to do is to have the mantra, you know, I love what I do and I do what I love. And that is absolutely true for me. I mean, not that you can have a bad day and once in a while and things like that, but it's so important to do what you love and love what you do. And if that isn't the case for you, okay, if that isn't the case for you, then you can also change the way you think about it, at least temporarily. If you're trying to get out of somewhere, maybe you're quietly quitting. I just wrote an article on that, actually. There's a lot of that going on right now. And you're kind of in that temporary box checking thing where you're getting to something else. But you can still bring success to whatever it is you're doing, even if you're not on fire for it temporarily. That won't work long term, but that works temporarily. And then, of course, if you're hopefully listening to that inner voice, and if you're really kind of living to be that weekend warrior, then you're just not in the right situation, because life minutes are important, you know, now. So it's either change your attitude or change what you're doing. That's what I'm saying. Okay. And another thing, Wayne was talking about is to just really do all you can to just dismiss, yield out of any kind of negativity, pessimism and judgment, gossiping. Like, you don't want to jump on it. Gossip's just emotional poison. And it can feel so good in the moment when we're, you know, kind of, you know, doing the us and them thing, which obviously isn't good in the big picture. And if we're honest, because we're human, we've all had moments of that. And unfortunately, it's just not the way to, or unfortunately, I don't know, whatever. It's not a good way to go, because it has a half-life. You know, we feel good in that minute. Oh, we're all talking about the same thing. I feel like I belong, which really isn't belonging. It's fitting in. They're very different. I'm fitting in. And then, you know, on the inside, it just wears us down. It kind of deteriorates things, because you know, judging and gossiping and spreading our emotional poison are no good. So when we feel that urge to gossip or whatever, judge people, in that moment, we can flip the script. We can say nothing if it's too hard to say something nice, because certain people it can be hard to say something nice about. That's just true, you know. And if we can, you know, find in ourselves to give somebody a compliment, just turn it around, flip the script, and say something positive. Or, like I like to say at home too, and sometimes is, you know, my kids have like heard that more than once. But if you can't be positive, be quiet. And thankfully, they're very positive people. But every once in a while, I say it to myself if I wake up, you know, with a little bit of It doesn't happen very often, but it's okay. Just for a while. Can't be positive, be quiet. And because we just want to stop the complaint train, because it just brings everybody down around us too. The complaint train, just no good, okay? I actually think of negativity as almost like secondhand smoke. You know, it's like, I don't want to breathe secondhand smoke. If that person wants to smoke and take all that into their lungs, go ahead. That's up to you, right? But I don't want to breathe it. So I kind of feel that way about negativity. If you want to breathe all that noise pollution, you go right ahead, but just make sure you're out of my range, you know? Okay, and then he also brings up the importance of solitude. The goats are on top of the little mountain over there. The importance of solitude. And actually, I think I did a video about that recently. It's so important, even for the most extroverted of us. We all need quiet time. I mean, we all need quiet time where we just calm the mind, reduce the stimulation, because the world's loaded with stimulation, which we like. It's fun and exciting, but we also need time for quiet. There's a time for everything, a time for, you know, all that fun, exciting stuff, and there's time to just sit still with ourselves in serenity. And then it's only when we're in solitude usually, or mostly anyway, that we can actually hear our inner voice. For the most part, we hear it the loudest when we're in a quiet atmosphere. It's just the truth. And then it reminds us of our divine connection. It's in all of us. And Wayne was saying, and if this for you is the universe or higher power or whatever, but God doesn't make crap. You know, it kind of reminds us. So as far as the worthiness goes, when we sit still with ourselves, that divine connection in us is saying, hey, right here, you know, you're doing all right. You know, you're enough exactly as you are. But if we get all caught up in the current, we're not really hearing that, you know, kind of like pinched off from it. We're not hearing it. And then this is one I do basically every day. I mean, I don't use polarized words very often, but it is every day, unless I don't even know unless. I can't think of it unless. I read voraciously. So we can prime our day anyway to be positive in general, but also to feel our own worthiness when we read little snippets in the morning. I mean, I'm talking about really short. You know, I've used Sarah Von Bresnick's Simple Abundance, page and a half, that's it. Richard Carlson's Don't Sweat the Small Stuff books, page and a half, that's it. I've got some meditation books. Our oldest daughter, I know, reads a Bible passage in the morning. Something short, just something short. It doesn't have to be religious at all. The stuff I read isn't at all. It's spiritual, I would say. Not religious, it's spiritual. Yeah, and just to prime your day, to feel worthy and feel enough by reading things that are supporting that belief system. So that's another one. And then also surround yourself with positive everything. I'm a big fan, and right now I'm on my deck, but one of our 2 glass doors is right there. And I splurged on myself. It was like $67 on Amazon. What a steal. And it's this crisscrossy plant holder. And anybody who knows me knows I could kill a cactus. So I have support with, actually the plants have support, because they'd be doomed if it were me. But right now I'm looking through the glass and it's absolutely gorgeous. It kind of goes like this. And there's colorful plants on every one of them, which thankfully my husband keeps up with. And it's just it added so much positive to an already positive room. I'm also a big fan of decluttering because it just hurts my head. But if, you know, buying fresh cut flowers is good too. And even if that's once a month, and, you know, pictures on the wall that are happy, things of, you know, nice memories, or maybe a knickknack you got from a vacation someplace, or maybe it's an heirloom. I've got a huge picture of my grandmother right in our front foyer because she was my absolute everything growing up. And, you know, stuff that just, even if you're not talking back to anything, I do talk to her sometimes on that, not to be nervous. It's okay, it's all good. Not that different than just, you know, saying a prayer or something. So, or, you know, just happy pictures. We have pictures of gondolas because we're ski nuts in this house, in the kitchen. You know, whatever, that's just, and also inspirational affirmations on the fridge, you know, whatever. But all of this matters. Little one-liners on magnets matter. You go into the fridge for some OJ, and there it is. One of ours, I think, is live as if you left the gate wide open. That's what I think our son, I think I gave it to him. You know, so think about that. Or I like, you know, they had that famous one that dance like nobody's watching. I'd say dance like everybody's watching. But that stuff matters. All the little stuff matters. Stuff on your coffee mugs in the morning, it matters. Conscious acts of kindness. I actually just did a little podcast on this one. And this is in my head because this week in Minecraft, my college students are Thursday, well, they're doing it now, and then Thursday we're going to share, they're asked to each do a conscious act of kindness with someone they don't know. And so there can't be any money involved unless it's on a level of coffee or, you know, a piece of pizza or something. And we're gonna talk about those on Thursday, because here's the selfish part, and who cares, because this is, you know, the universe's way, or God's way, or higher power's way, source of the capital S's way, or whatever, to kind of keep us doing nice things for each other. There's a dopamine fix when we do nice things for other people. So we feel good when we do things for other people, even if it's just holding open a door. Giovanni, what are you doing with that dirt? Just pulled a dead plant out, just a plant. It's a little odd, but okay. Maybe a good smell or something, I don't know. So the conscious acts of kindness, I didn't say random because I personally don't believe anything's random. And I also like the idea of you plan it, it's intentional. I'm going out in the world today to help a stranger do anything. Might just be to carry her bags or who knows what else. But typically students come back with some good stuff. Some of them are just bought a cup of coffee or held the door open, and that's all fine. because the timing on the other end might be great for the other person, right? Just about to drop them, or who knows. And sometimes they have really good stories. But obviously, this really comes right back to us, and we feel absolutely great the rest of the day usually. And then lastly, he has talks about changing our perspective on the world just when we go outside. Because this makes us also help support our feeling of worthiness, is changing our perspective on, if your perspective isn't already this, mine is, that the world is just this big playground. The world is just full of friendly people, and obviously there's bad stuff going on. Just turn the news on if you really want a Debbie Downer before you go to bed. It's just lots of violence and horrible things happening, and it doesn't mean stick your head in the sand and be ignorant. No, I'm not saying that. I'm definitely saying to limit it, though, and certainly at night, because right before you go to bed is not the time to take that all in. But obviously, there's a lot out there. There are tons and tons of good people out there, and good people doing good things to hear about and to talk about. And so, to really think about it, there's all kinds of people to meet, all kinds of things to do and see. And it really is a playground in so many ways. Rather than thinking about it as an environment where it's like, I don't know, people are looking to offend you and hurt you and take you down and things like that, that doesn't help anything. So really, to sum up here, worthiness, and Abraham Hicks actually talks about this too. Worthiness is obviously to win from within, which is how we do it. All of it's in here. We want to make sure our needs are all in here. If the needs are out here, that means we're uncomfortable if the needs aren't met, right? We're uncomfortable like say we're hungry. We're uncomfortable till we eat something. But we have control over that, usually, not always. Obviously, there are situations in food insecurity that out there, of course, and that actually just further supports the point. We're uncomfortable for longer, until we're able to fix that. So we don't want our needs out here. And so if it's something like need approval, need to feel worthy because that person says I'm worthy, or that person nods and says, oh, good job. And we feel good when somebody nods and says good job, or somebody says something nice, but we don't want the needs to be out here. We want to have control of that on the inside. Glad you said something nice. Glad you liked my presentation. Glad you approved of it. That all feels good. But when we're authentic and feeling really worthy on the inside, that feels good, but we don't have to go looking for it. We don't need it. It's okay with it. We're okay without it, kind of thing. And that's really the place where we want to get to. We're realizing and uncovering, doing an archaeological dig on ourselves to bring all that right back in the living room. Or actually, it already is in the living room, right? Because we're living in our frames. But just uncovering that and realizing our own authentic power and our own feeling of original worthiness, which is in there. Your authentic self is there. She, he, or they is just waiting to be invited back into the driver's seat. They might have slid over into the passenger side, or maybe even in the trunk, but they are there, absolutely, positively. So worthiness, that feeling of worthiness, takes a lot of commitment and practice, and it's exciting. And then Abraham Hicks also says you really know and validate it, which further strengthens the feeling of original worthiness when we're in alignment. And that's when you really tap into what your gifts are, and that one thing you were put on this earth to do, because then you're so in this flow zone. You just you feel one with the universe, one with your writing, one with your music playing, one with your teaching, one with your whatever. And that's all the proof that you could possibly ever ask for that says you are enough exactly as you are. I can't even, the flow feeling is just, it's really kind of spiritually intoxicating. That's the best thing I can say to come up with something. And you're just flooded with worthiness feelings because you're in alignment. I think of that little 7-year-old surfer, I forget her name now. She's called the Flying Squirrel, I just forget her real name. 7 years old in Australia. And you watch her surf, and she's literally at one with the ocean. I mean, there's just no resistance. And that's what we're talking about. No resistance. Place of non-resistance. And that's when we get into the alignment thing, riding on a high vibe disc, and feeling worthy. Awesome. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from my back deck in northern Vermont. Starting to get a little chilly. Okay, have a mindful day.